Coming to you from Little Rock, Arkansas, welcome to Sips on the Rock with Legacy Wine and Spirits. Join hosts and store owners Johnny Akins and David Bevins, along with product expert extraordinaire Jake Dell, as we chat about booze, news, and other happenings in the wide world of wine and spirits. Now, let's get to sipping.
All right, welcome back to Sips on the Rocks, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, and we are joined today by special guest star Andy Crittenden.
Hello. Yes. I'm Andy. Thanks for having me.
Guest star. Yeah.
Guest star. It's a pleasure to be here, guys. Thanks for letting me come out.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
You're nosing it. Can I just cut y'all off and say, let's toast?
Let's jump in. Yeah, that's what we usually do if we're tasting something good.
So for those that are watching and listening that can't see, what we're about to have a sample of is the Same Old Moses Rye, which is really special and cool, and available here at Legacy.
And I don't think we've actually said,
where we are. So let me. I'm really bad about doing that too. I never introduce myself appropriately.
We just jump in.
Yeah. You know who I am. Like, this is ridiculous. So now, my name's Andy Crittenden. I'm the spirit specialist, which is a fun way of saying sales guy to the state of Arkansas for Wander Folk Spirits out of Guthrie, Oklahoma. We are the first legal distillery in the state of Oklahoma since Prohibition. We started 10 years ago in 2012 as Prairie Wolf Spirits. And since then we've rebranded as Wander Folk so that we can launch new brands. One of them being Same Old Moses, which is our whiskey line.
Great name. I love that name.
And it's got such a cool
awesome
story too.
Yeah.
So Same Old Moses is actually the first name of the bar, the name of the first bar in the state of Oklahoma, which was founded in downtown Guthrie in the late 1860s, I believe. I think it's 1869, something like that. It was a block away from where we operate today. So as we decided to rebrand and start doing different things, we've all been in the game for a long time. We've all heard all the stories and all the
everybody's got a pitch.
Right. Yeah. And not knocking any of it. That's what sells a good drink.
Right.
But we wanted to do it as authentically and transparently as possible. So what better way to pay homage to a whiskey brand, right, than letting it embody the story of the first bar in the state of Oklahoma, because it was right down the street from us, which is cool. So
very cool.
So to that point where I was jumping off into, so this is our rye. It's really special. What I love about it is we're all old bar nerds. Like pretty much everybody that works within the company, as far as hands-on making and selling booze, we're nerdy about it. And like, we think that rye kind of gets a backseat unfairly, right?
Sure.
And especially coming from an old bartender perspective, like if you were drinking whiskey cocktails back in the day, it was rye, period. Bourbon wasn't used in drinks. That was a specialty thing, right? So Prohibition killed all that. We can go off that rabbit hole some other time. Now we live in a world where most ryes on the American market tend to be a 95% rye, 5% corn mash bill. They tend to be pretty hot. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can make great cocktails with that, but to a discerning palate, or better said, an undiscerning palate.
Right.
If you're just diving off into ryes and you don't understand what you're drinking, it feels like a punch in the teeth.
Yeah.
Right.
And one thing that we compare ourselves to with this bottle specifically is Bullet Rye. It's a popular rye. It gets sold a lot. People buy it at the bar. And
probably our number one rye here.
And I'm not here to knock it or anything, but it's 95.5 at 90 plus proof. If you don't understand that you're tasting the spice of the rye and the heat of the ethanol at the same time in that bottle, you don't understand what you're drinking. So we wanted to back that off so you can separate it if you don't have the palate for it. So
people might start equating that with the heat and be like, well, I must not like rye whiskey.
It's kind of like people that say they don't like gin, but they've only ever had it in a gin and tonic. And what they don't like is quinine.
Right.
Same thing. So this is 67% rye, 33% corn in the mash. It
comes across. It's nice and sweet.
Thank you. It's special, man. It gets 2 years in the its first barrel, which is a pretty standard number four white oak. But then we dump it into one of our fresh dump bourbon barrels for a year. So it's a boo rye, and it's sitting at 89 proof.
Boo rye
makes beautiful cocktails, but like you guys are saying, you can taste the grain and the heat as two separate notes on your palate.
Very much so. Yeah.
100%. That's awesome.
And like I said, it just...
Did you say what the ABV was on that?
89.
89. Okay.
89 proof, right? Okay. ABV. I was going to say I'm terrible.
Yeah.
It's
89% alcohol.
I should split that in half, right? Jesus. But yeah, and it's got heat to it. It's got legs on it. It's got 2 or 3 minutes if you let it ride.
Mm-hmm.
For all those nerdy whiskey folks,
let it ride.
At the end of the day, it's also sitting on the shelf for, it's a sub $40 bottle.
Right.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Like
That's
that,
awesome.
and me coming from the bartender space, and I my passion and the way I keep like staying in this industry is the education of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it for a long time, and I took a couple breaks, and I get out of it. And the thing that always gets me,
You did a little woodworking.
yeah,
all right.
I did. Yeah. That's a fun story. The education is part of it, and I think that a lot of people that it's a blanket statement that we can go off into rabbit holes about, but like Americans are stupid, especially when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to this, because it's something that it's all stigmatized and it's compartmentalized, and we don't talk about it openly, so we don't learn about it.
Right.
We find the thing we like. Right. My first bottle was Everclear.
Oh, right.
Because that's what was there.
Right.
And how many people do we know had like this period of time as like 4 Locos written? Because that's what was there. Like, man, you know better than that.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to be drinking that stuff.
Right. It was actually Purple Passion.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I pledged to fraternity. We had a day where we chugged bottles of Cisco malt liquor. Like, like what I like coming back to is having that conversation of like, okay, it's cool. Like, listen, Wild Turkey 101 is delicious, and everybody at this table will agree to that statement for different reasons than most folks that are walking into this store and buying a bottle of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like taking the step and saying, hey, you know why you like that?
Right.
No, cool. Let me tell you.
Yeah, let's think about it.
Because I know why you like it. And then I can take you over to this other thing that's a higher quality or maybe not even higher quality. That was a bad example because Turkey 101's good whiskey, but maybe a different style of a similar quality. It maybe has a smaller price tag to it. Like, a lot of people drink really expensively for the sake of drinking expensively.
Right. Yeah.
And what I love about our lines, the 3 lines that we make, and I didn't go, same old Moses, I said is our whiskey line. We also make Garden Club, which is our premium clear spirits line. We've got a 100% corn vodka that drinks next to things like Belvedere and Goose. That's sitting on the shelf for less than $25 a fifth.
You were talking about engaging with, the buyer. The customers now, they are a lot more curious. They want to know more. They want to be educated.
5-10 years ago, it was people were stuck, on one thing, and you're right, it's kind of shifting slowly.
I feel like the things that we fight these days, especially in the clear spirits world, they're almost entirely set in behavior patterns and marketing. Right?
Yeah.
There's a fantastic vodka out there that everybody's very familiar with. It's a bargain buy that is extremely brand loyal. The folks that drink it because it's the thing.
Yep.
We aspire to be it.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is we make a product that's better quality than it. It sits on the shelf for 65% the cost. And I can't sell it hard enough to people because it's not that, guys. Right. And that's okay. That's a hump. That's an obstacle. It's part of my job. But why do we do this to ourselves is the way where I come from. It's like, man, I had that regular at the bar, back in the day that drank his Woodford and Sprite. That's great. I don't know judgment. That's what you like. That's cool. But you're paying a lot of money in a markup for that here. That's the thought I've always had is like, enjoy the things that you enjoy for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Don't hang on to things because someone's stuck a marketing hook in you. Right.
Well, people are very susceptible.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I know. I'll take the rocks on the head for that. I'll take the rocks on the head for that. But like I said, especially in this realm, Americans are kind of dumb. We don't really think this through very often. And I mean, I know you guys see that specifically in this world, right? Talk about how many people think you and I, you guys, we all know that there are words on these labels that have legal definition, and there are words on these labels that don't. And we also hear every day how often people can get stuck in a word that has no meaning whatsoever, but they think that that's some kind of a test of quality, right? Like, that's to the point. Like,
handmade.
That's what I love about this. The reason, handmade, gluten free. To that point, all of our clear spirits are gluten free.
Just in case you're wondering,
we make them with 100%. All of our clear spirits are started with 100% corn based GNS, so we don't even have to have that argument. It's
right.
It automatically is.
No
we don't even have to try to convince you that distillation did it for us.
So what all clear spirits do you guys have?
So that's a great question. Thank you. So the entry level line, our Prairie Wolf line, the line that we started with 10 years ago, we make a vodka, a London dry gin, and a coffee liqueur. And I'm not playing. The vodka sits on the shelf for the fifth, I think, at like $13 or $14. Mm-hmm. And if you drink it straight next to your favorite Texas vodka, right. You're going to be surprised at how much smoother it is.
Yeah.
Then the second line that we make is Garden Club. Like I mentioned, we've got a more polished version of that vodka. And then we've got a spiced citrus version of vodka. We know if we're going to come in and say some bold things like this is as good as goose, that maybe you should have some proper things to back that up with. But we think flavored vodka sucks. Mm-hmm. And you start talking about like Kettle, right? They've got their botanical series out, and that's better than pick another flavor vodka.
Burnett, pink lemonade.
The glycol packs and all the sugar, all the added after the fact. Like, so that's the part that we don't like. We don't want to, well, what's a better way to do it? So we went kind of the Kettle route, in that we take that GNS, and we go vapor distillate with it. And so it's effectively the essential oil infusion of orange peels, lemon peels, lime verbena, and a Black Mountain pepperberry. And it's an interesting thing. And it's gin adjacent.
Yeah.
But it's these like sharp citrus oil flavors up front with just a good full bodied vodka mid palate. And then what you get left with from the pepperberry isn't so much a flavor as much as it is like a tingling sensation similar to what you get from like a Blanco tequila on the inside of your lips and tongue. Makes a really fun Bloody Mary, makes good martinis, goes good in mules.
I hadn't even thought about that in a Bloody Mary. I remember really liking it when I tried it. That would be
not spicy, just a little, right?
A little something.
Yeah. And that's actually, so we'll be at Lost 40's Festival of Darkness this weekend. We're featuring that in a batch of a ginger hibiscus mule, effectively.
Awesome.
Yeah. So definitely, if you're going to be coming out with that, come by and see me for that. And then the last thing we make in that line is our gin, which is a really beautiful floral botanical Western contemporary style gin. The easiest thing to tell people, because gin is such a polarizing topic in this state, especially, is that think Hendrix, because it's that style, right? It's not the juniper punch in the face that London Dries can be. But then drop all the cucumber, and knock the coriander and juniper ratio down a little bit, and add a bunch of flowers. That's what our Garden Club gin is coming in as. It's 11 botanicals. It's really sharp citrus up front with these beautiful floral notes of rose hips, rose petals, lavender blossoms, that kind of thing.
Wow. And
then it has a lot of like cinnamon stick and gentian bark and that kind of flavor profile on the back that actually pairs well with fall flavored things. So you can grab a bottle of that and then like make a batch of strong like Earl Grey tea, put it in the fridge. Once it's chilled off, bring it out. Get you a tall glass full of ice, a couple ounces of gin, a little bit of lemon juice, some simple syrup. Top it off with your tea. Nice fall cooking spice flavored gin cocktail. You don't have to go G&T all the time.
That sounds good.
And it doesn't take much effort. People think drinks are hard. They're really simple.
Got to get all scientific and all complicated at home.
Every drink you've ever had comes from one of 5 different builds of a drink. Everything after that is just someone being creative and pulling the wool over your eyes.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. That's exciting. Yeah, we're looking forward to the Festival of Darkness this week.
Yeah, we are.
It'll be a lot of fun. Are you going in a costume?
We are. So my counterpart, Sam, who is actually, he's an alumni of Hendrix. He's got family in Conway. He's going to come in Friday night and do the family thing for a minute. And then Saturday, he's joining me. It's going to be me and him slinging. I think we're coming in prepared for like 1,500 folks, 2 batch cocktails. We'll have samples of everything that we've got. Wow. We're dressing up as some kind of, and understand that this isn't our thing. We don't do like, I'm coming in with all of the energy and the enthusiasm, but it's not a thing that I do on a regular basis, right? So we're coming in with some kind of middle ground of zombie lumberjack werewolves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Prairie wolf.
Cool.
Right?
Sure.
Tie in. And then we're featuring Same Old Moses in one cocktail and the Garden Club in the other cocktail. It kind of rounds everything out.
Well, you're a hairy guy.
Yeah. And Sam,
pull off werewolf.
Sam's a little younger, but he's really pulled in this like full beard in the last couple months. And I didn't know it, but apparently he was about to pull it off. And I was like, as we were having this talk, I was like, hey, this is the costume. He goes, oh, good. I'm not going to shave it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes. We should be good to go. But yeah, we're excited. We're super grateful for Lost 40 to reach out. We've got a couple cocktails in a couple different Yellow Rocket concept spots, and we're grateful for that support too. We know we're a new brand, and coming from the bar manager side of things, like you take a risk on a new thing like that. It's a dice roll. And so we're appreciative of having the chance to be a part of that. our Garden Club gin was the official gin of the last year of Roots Fest up there in Northwest. And so it's really cool to be able to do something in Little Rock that's got a similar exposure to it, that's connected to other people that we know have great community representation. And that's the thing that we really drive most of our things behind is good relationships.
That's really cool. That, helps our side of things when people can go try a cocktail.
Right.
Yeah,
It does.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Is it like we're not going to be pushing them this way at all of our other retail space partners in the area whenever they're, oh, hey, where can I get this? Like, of course, like Legacy's got everything on the shelf. Come out here, right? Yeah. That we really thrive on tides rising. That literally, like I was saying before we turned the cameras and everything on, is like the reason we're sitting here is because of relationships that I've had the pleasure and opportunity to build in this state over the last 15, 20 years. So it's really cool to see something kind of materialize over time that all signs are pointing, right? All roads lead to Rome.
Fell into place.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Let's just run with it. Who's almost done with the rye?
I was going to say at some point, I want to
well,
try the double barrel.
Well, and listen, we can try anything you want. We're all grown. I don't need to hold anybody's hand. The one that I really want to make sure that we pour out before we run out of time is that PX Sherry. Just because I'd love to hear y'all talk your notes and thoughts on it as this goes out into the world.
Before we got off the Festival of Darkness, I love that they're doing more spirit brands there, because there's not a million breweries that you get to choose from for them to do that are in Arkansas. But like we talked last week, it's super cool. They're getting breweries that are not even available in the state.
Right. It's really out of the box.
And so, also doing spirit booths and stuff. It's really cool. They're doing it right.
I was listening to the last week's episode on the way up, or on the way down rather, this afternoon. And that I like that. And I'm glad that you guys thought to point that out too, because that is a very unique thing. Like, you're not even if you go to Oklahoma City, for example, there's some badass breweries in Oklahoma that are going to make some cool stuff and have cool festivals, but they're not going to bring somebody from Florida. And that's not a knock to them.
They want to put the focus on their stuff and not,
and it's not a knock to
the
them.
industry.
I realize as I say that I work for an Oklahoma company. I'm not here, right? I'm not here to knock those guys. I love Prairie Brewing, or Prairie Artesian Ale is probably my favorite. And it's just because I drink sours. I don't drink beer. So sorry, Lost 40. I love you guys too. But for my money for enjoyability, Prairie's my go-to.
They do a ton of different sours.
They do. And hey, I don't like the malty stuff. That's what we're talking. It's not a knock. I can appreciate it, especially with
different strokes.
Different strokes.
Especially with a meal pairing or something, right? Like, that's when I really appreciate it. But giving room for us, giving room for people that aren't from here, and like if nothing else, it opens up a little bit of camaraderie, right? It's not saying, hey, come and show us what you got. It's saying, hey, we want to come and see what you got. Like, let's do this together.
Let's everybody show our best stuff.
Exactly.
Well, that's when this industry is at its most fun,
right?
When you can enjoy it.
People are working together.
Well, and hell, we've been through the last 4 years plus. It's just been such a grind. It's nice to remember that we can zoom out and have fun, because that's what this is. Like, let's not pretend. Even I'm sure Cassie and them would agree with me. We're doing a lot of stressing and preparing and building up to, as soon as the door opens on Saturday, all that goes out the window, and we're just like, it's just fun now. It has to be. Otherwise it all dies, right? So it's cool that we're coming into a space of kind of remembering what it's like to get back out in it. And that's coming from somebody that's struggled with all the isolation and the weird that we've had to work through for the last 4 years. So it's very cool that we got the chance to be a part of. We're grateful. Double barrel bourbon.
Let's do it,
since that's what is on Jake's mind. So this is our a very interesting point to make here. I'm glad that we kind of went down this road. So Same Old Moses is a very cool brand in that we're only making 2 lines year round. But if you walk in the store today, you'll see there's 5 bottles on the shelf. The 2 that we make year round are the 89 proof rye that we just tasted. And then this is our 4-year, 4-grain double barreled bourbon that's bottled at 100 proof. This is a 65% corn, 22% wheat, 11% rye, and 2% barley mash. It gets 3 years in that standard barrel, white oak 4.4 barrel. And then we dump it into a new white oak number two barrel from Calvin Cooperage in Lexington. They use wood to fire their barrels instead of gas. So as their coopers are cutting off their staves, they keep up all those offcuts, and they just build a big bonfire and drag their barrels over that bonfire. So
Wow, that's cool.
For a weeded bourbon at 100 proof, those of you that have already sipped it, you should be noticing a smoke note that doesn't live in most weeded bourbons.
Yeah.
And a super smooth finish that isn't characteristic of most 100 proof bourbons. We picked the second barrel for that smoke note, and the blend that we've done on this batch is incredible with regards to putting the smooth finish on a 100 proof weeded bourbon.
It's really bright.
It is.
That is the exact same word I had in my head.
I'm always quick to remind people that, like, you guys taste it correctly because you're the only one that can taste it. I agree with that. I think I really wish Jeff were here. He'd be the one to be able to pinpoint it. I think that's probably due to the rye content.
Yeah.
We use a really, I mean, you tasted it in the rye, right?
Yeah.
It's a really sharp, bright, crisp rye note.
Yeah, that's some special stuff.
Without being sharp from like a spice, a pepper sharp. Yeah, yeah.
Sharp. That's a great distinction. I say sharp in that instance, specifically meaning with how quick it cuts through the palate.
Yeah, yeah.
It's there. You get it and you taste it. But yeah, not spicy. Just quick and easy. And this one has like 3.5, 4 minute legs on it.
Oh yeah.
If you sit with this one for a minute, you'll keep tasting.
Is this double barrel limited?
These are the two that we've tasted so far. These are the two that are always available.
If you would listen.
No. This is a good clarifying question because now we've said it multiple times and everybody.
Now everyone should know.
That's right.
Because there will be a test.
That's right. And that's what's so cool about the way that this program is going to evolve over time is that, Jeff and I have been friends for a long time. We kind of came up running bars together across the state line from each other. And he went down a very wine forward, high-end hotel bar road that led him to the Somm world that helped him make all these connections in the wine world internationally, right? And that's kind of part of why we've had the opportunity to have these aging barrels to play with.
Yeah, cool, different barrels.
And that's the kind of secret sauce on the back end of this brand. We're going to always have this rye and bourbon available because consistency is key in success with this market, right? Until you have a story that is, this 23-year bottle got saved because everybody in Kentucky jumped in and helped you out and blah, blah, blah. Love them. Good stuff. Not knocking, just saying.
Yeah.
You can't really hang everything on your laurels of like, hey, we've got limited stuff, right? So we want to have the everyday drinkers available. We want everybody to
get familiar with the brand.
Consistency of product on the shelf.
Right.
But then what's the other three things on the shelf are special limited runs, intentionally limited runs of special finishes of this bourbon or rye. So the three that are out there in the world right now, the blue label is the tawny port finish of this bourbon. So it's the same big body that you guys just experienced. It gets 16 extra months in a tawny port wine cask before we bottle it at 101 proof.
Wow.
What that does to the flavor profile is pretty incredible. You go from this like very bourbon. Correct me if anybody disagrees. I think that's a pretty stereotypical quintessential bourbon flavor profile.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
it hits all the notes. It gives you your caramels, your toffees, your smokes, your chars, all that. It's just a really big bodied, well balanced, smooth finishing bourbon. Well, take that into another barrel for another year. You can soften up any of that heat that may or may not be averse to a discerning palate. And then you're adding flavor profiles that come across as really silky buttered toast, roasted nuts. Roasted almond really jumps out in my palate. And it's still got the same smooth finish, a little extra heat from the 101, but because it's got that extra year on it, it softens it up really nicely. And then the purple label is the exact same story, but a ruby port cask. And I think that's where a distinction needs to be made. A lot of people hear port finish whiskey and they automatically assume that it's going to be a sweet finish.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand that those port finishes are almost entirely ruby port finishes. And there's a difference between ruby port and tawny port. Ruby port gets aged longer, so there's more wine left in the barrel when you put your whiskey in it. Tawny port doesn't get aged as long, so you're actually getting more of the wood from that than the barrel. I'm sorry, the wine. So this one is sweeter than the 4-year bourbon, but it's not that big wine grape sweet bomb that most people
Red
expect.
fruit, yeah.
That's where the ruby port comes
Right.
in. That one gives you really strong toffee, raisin, old wine flavors, and the stronger pronounced sugars and the sweetness on the back. People that like Crown That's the one that they prefer of our line because it's got the sweetest note to it.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. It's still really well balanced. It's still a bourbon drinker's bourbon. It's just more of a dessert one, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple at the end of the night. For me, anyway. I love it. It's so special. And that's the thing is it's limited. It will go away. Those two will disappear.
Oh, wow.
That we hope that we've projected appropriately that they'll last to the end of the year. And then come the spring, we'll have some new stuff to drop and fill those gaps.
No.
The last one, the one that I want you guys to taste for sure, is the crown jewel over there, the Black Label. That's this 4-year bourbon that gets 13 extra months in a Pedro Jimenez sherry cask before it's bottled at cask strength. That's the most limited run we've made so far. And what's really cool about it is that so cask strength's 111.8 proof, right? We're sitting at almost 112 proof. It does not have the heat that one would expect from a cask strength bourbon. And if you have any experience tasting sherry, you'll know very quickly you almost don't taste bourbon at all in that bottle. It's almost entirely sherry notes in that bottle. And it's one of the wildest bourbons. I'm so proud to represent it because it's one of the wildest bourbons I've ever tasted. And like I said, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I've drank some really cool stuff. That's very cool. And it's a very inexpensive bottle compared to who it sits on the shelf.
Is that one of the crazier cask finishes y'all have done that you've seen? Are there any like coming down the pipe that are just wacky?
So
absinthe barrel.
Fair. No absinthe barrel stuff, but we do have the three things that I've personally tasted that I'm really excited. And I don't have any timeline. It's all about my pay grade.
Yeah.
But I know that they are resting in the warehouse as we speak. We do have a barrel of rye sitting in a Sauterne cask, which is delicious.
Yeah, we've seen a couple Sauterne finishes here, but they are few and far between.
The last time I was in town for an all house meeting, we got to get the thief out and try some of that. Coming straight out of the barrel, it's incredible. So I'm really excited to see what happens when we blend and proof that down, if we proof it down. We've also got some of our rye sitting in a Calvados barrel, which is super cool.
Wow.
Apple and rye go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Apple pie. Yeah, I'm sure.
And then we've got what's the other one? We got rye. Amarone.
Ooh,
yeah, that's a cool one too.
Pretty cheap barrel, I'm sure.
It's relationships, Jay.
Yeah.
It's relationships.
All the way to Italy.
That's right.
You said rye and apple go really well. I got into ryes by putting a splash of cranberry in my rye.
Yeah,
that's sharp on sharp. You know, really
there's
nice.
a weird period of time in my life that is characterized by Jim Beam and cranberry.
Oh, really?
And hey, man, same thing, right? Different and weird, but it still hit. It was out of necessity. I say necessity. That sounds terrible. I was young and 20 and something.
Lived on a cranberry farm.
We came out of the bog with a handful of fresh ones, and we'd muddle them in the bottom of our glasses before we pulled Jim Beam out of our back pockets.
What a childhood.
Yeah.
Woo! Right. The smell is crazy. What my favorite part
color
about
on
this,
it too.
I'm not going to say another word. I'm going to let you guys put your notes out there in the world, but there's one note on the back end of this, the finishing note for me that I want to hear one of y'all pull out before I say anything about it. It's incredible. This is one of the coolest whiskeys I've ever tasted.
I mean,
shout out to Jeffrey Allen Cole, our head distiller and master of all these things.
So when doing my bizarre story prep, today is National Jeff Day.
Wow. Is it really?
What?
That's hilarious.
That's a random fact.
Yeah. You, Jeff. Way to go,
Cheers
buddy.
to Jeff.
Cheers to Jeff.
That's Jeff
right.
Day.
That's right. What I love about it, that's not going to ruin anybody's tasting notes, is how viscous it feels on the tongue, but it's not. It's real thin. Like it just, if you swish it around, if you chew on it, it feels like it's just covering your mouth. But as soon as you swallow, your mouth is clear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not near the lingering finish of the first two.
No, but you definitely get that sherry, that grape.
It's so complex. Yeah, I mean,
so
you could sit here with this for an hour, and as it opens up,
I mean, you just opened it up. You just add some water. Right?
Yeah,
I'd be curious to see what you say after that.
A little bloop.
I've said for a long, long time that if I ever disappear on my own fruition, that you'll find me in the south of Spain. I've been a huge sherry nerd for a long time. I live in the
You don't meet many sherry nerds.
No, you don't. That's
especially in
awesome,
this
though.
state.
Yeah.
I live in the worst state ever to really appreciate sherry. Right?
Yeah.
And it's not a knock on anybody that's on the shelf, but the best we're looking at is Osborne more often than not. Some Taylor sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Love them. Good. Glad they're here. There's so much other stuff out there, right?
Yeah.
So what I love about this is trying to talk to people that are in this state that have never tasted cherry aside from what they cook with, right?
Right.
So it's like, so you taste that rancid flavor, you taste that old wine flavor.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't sound very appealing. It's not.
Yeah. Right.
The word rancid it's not appealing, but that's what you're tasting because that's what sherry is. It's rotten wine, right?
Yeah.
Like it's wine that's been aged under bacterial
and
film, right?
Yeah.
And then the next thing that I get that I love is, like I said, when you swallow and you take your first breath, you get pheno dryness from 112 proof 5-year bourbon.
Yeah.
Like that's such a strange sensation to experience whenever your mouth is just bone dry all of a sudden and you can taste tannin. But that's what PX sherry, I mean, that's what it, that's what we pulled out of that barrel. That's the magic of it. That's what's cool about it. We get to take so much credit. Only so much. Honestly, right? And that's the thing that I think that us keeping that in the forefront of our minds as we are doing these things kind of helps us maintain the level of innate quality assurance because we know that we're really only able to do so much.
Mm-hmm.
This is a process that's been done as it's been done for as long as it's been done. We're just playing with it. We're not reinventing anything. So it's really cool that we've been fortunate enough to land on these marks that they crush, man. That 4-year bourbon won gold at the San Francisco International Spirits Competition last year. That's that's huge.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We didn't, we sent it in, fingers crossed, everything puckered up, right?
Yeah, right.
But then when we come back with the three whiskeys that we presented at gold and silver, like, kudos, Jeff.
That's
Thanks,
cool.
buddy.
Yeah.
And Duty. I mean, Derek, the guy that my general manager, our marketing director, like all this branding, all this story, that's all coming out of his head. So we're real fortunate. I'm really happy to be a part of it and really grateful for guys like you that are helping us get the word out.
Happy to do it, man.
It's good stuff, right?
Yeah,
it's really hard to sell.
Really good
it's
stuff.
really hard to sell bad stuff. It's so easy just to walk in and be like, "Hi,
try this.
You like that? Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do some fun stuff together. Let's build a bridge, right?" So yeah, and for the cats that are listening in Central Arkansas, if you haven't had a chance to have any of this yet and you want to go out and find it, literally everything that we make is available on the shelf here at Legacy, which we're grateful for. As far as spots go, if no one minds me giving some shameless plugs, man,
Please.
Go ahead.
Dude, go.
You're here to shamelessly plug.
Right. Thank you. So, out there in the world, we're huge fans and super grateful for the support that we get at places like Cypress Social.
Oh
my God, we love it.
Dude,
we love
I love
Social.
anything that the Keat family touches
Yeah,
tends to turn to gold.
Yeah.
They're just good folks.
Yeah.
We're really happy to be supported out there. Petite and Keat, since we're talking about them, a lot of our stuff is behind the bar at Petite and Keat as well. Raduno has some of our stuff. I just drew a blank, as I always do when I start trying to think about these things and
Some
and
Yellow
throwing
Rocket
flowers.
concepts.
So Big Orange Midtown has some stuff. Pantry and Pantry Crest.
Awesome place.
Right. And this, I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
And the only reason we're there is because of the relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we make cool stuff, but I got to walk in and say, "Hi, David. Haven't seen you in a couple years.
Right.
Would you like to taste this?" And David goes, "Yeah." And then we go, "Hey, let's do this. It'll make everybody money." And it's good.
And it's
Yeah.
good.
Why wouldn't we?
Right.
Why wouldn't we raise the tide? Why wouldn't we get everybody back out, since that's what we're starting to do? It's our first real holiday season in 4 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might be walking into midterms, and that's got everybody edgy, but it's holidays, man. Come out and have a drink. Let's talk about it.
Very good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm good
very
at
glad you
rambling.
came out.
You guys
I actually,
tell me where we're at.
I think we're about to wrap it up.
I've missed a lot of the obviously when you guys came to taste this last time, I probably was not involved. So I'm always missing the tastings.
I don't know that I've tasted these before.
Well, I'm glad to have been introduced to them today.
Well, and thank you. And what's funny to me about that is that if nothing else is just a testament to the relationship.
Yeah.
You guys just I don't know if we tasted this. It's all here though.
Yeah.
Well, I tasted them and I brought them.
Yeah. And that's fair. We did sit down and drink.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're super grateful to be here, and to the future, man. I think we got some cool stuff that's going to grow and grow and grow. We've been, like I said, we've been in Oklahoma for 10 years. We came into Arkansas in April of this year. We came into Kansas in January of this year.
Are those the only other states?
That's the only 3 states we're in right now.
We're never like at the forefront of anything cool. Being Arkansas, we have to have something cool in Oklahoma. Start up,
Here we are, baby.
Yeah.
We got cool stuff.
Oh,
We're on it.
I actually did realize we are actually over. The one last thing we have to say is the Cheese Dip Festival is
the 30th. The 30th
coming up next coming weekend.
Get your discounted tickets. Use Sips on the Rock.
That's right.
Check out
discount code. Don't forget, it's coming up. It's going to be an awesome festival.
National
Cheese
Dip.
Yeah, how can you go wrong? I mean, it's going to be probably a beautiful weekend.
I still think that we should have a
batch.
My heart goes out to those that can't consume dairy.
Yeah, I know.
But I wonder if there's
some mindful cheese dips out there. There are some mindful cheese dips.
Soy dip.
Hey, real talk. You can make a really good spinach artichoke dip without cheese by using cashews instead. Go Google that. It's actually really good.
It's a bit nutty.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Well, Andy, thanks
Andy.
Thank you so much for letting me come in and kind of railroad the whole conversation.
No,
that's why we had you on.
Informative. And some,
thank you.
Good juice you got there, man.
Yep, you're going to be better at educating people on your products than we are.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate the chance to come on, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
Keep on.
Join us again.
Oh, by the way, next week is Tuesday. We're going to be live on Tuesday at 2:00. So sorry for the schedule change, but we'll see you guys then. Take care.
Remember to subscribe to our podcast, Sips on the Rock, and like us on all the socials to keep up with what's new in the wide world of alcohol. Shop LegacyLR.com for curbside pickup or local delivery. Remember, for better service and better selection, shop local. Please enjoy responsibly. Cheers.